Tell us a little bit what brought you here. What brings you to America?
So I am here for 6 weeks. I'm going to be speaking at different events and just enjoying life, living in America.
All right. What do you do?
I'm a business coach and speaker. I work with female entrepreneurs who struggle with sales and enrolling clients. I show them how to do that with ease and grace.
So why America? Are there entrepreneurs in Donegal?
There are. I found them all. Donegal's it's a really stunningly magical, beautiful place, but it's very low energy. I'm quite high energy, and I can't really stay there for too long. I need to get out, and I need to um, be among like a higher energy of people as well. I do think that Americans think a lot bigger, and I come from a really small place, so it can be hard to find like groups of people who are thinking big.
So tell me a little bit about your childhood being raised in Donegal. What was it like?
It was, well, there wasn't much to do, to be honest. You could do two things in the town that I lived in. You could either play in the band or you could play football. And I played in the band, like I was telling you.
Yeah.
A marching band, not a rock band, by the way.
So as a business coach, being raised in a small town like that, what are some of the values that you think that you're bringing with you that differentiates you from somebody that's been in a high-paced environment like most of us?
I think curiosity would be the main thing, like being really curious about what's going on in other places and how people are the way they are, and how can I be like that? How can I find those opportunities? And I think the very first time I came to an event in America was around 4 years ago when I started my business first, and I hadn't really entertained the idea of being an entrepreneur, and I went to this entrepreneurial event, and I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing. These people are thinking so big, and they're doing so many amazing things. My curiosity was like at peak levels. I was like, how do you do what you're doing? I was just blown away by it.
So you shared with me that you spent some time in London.
That's right.
And you were kind of brought back to your roots a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience of, like, to me, if you're high energy and you're curious, why not immerse yourself in that environment 100% of the time, but you're still there. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think I've always really struggled with where home is for me. I was born in Scotland, and we lived there till I was 8. And growing up in Scotland at that time, we were bullied for being Irish. And then we were brought to Donegal in the 80s. And then we were bullied in Donegal for being Scottish. And then when I turned 18, I was just like, I'm out of here, And I think that when I left home, when I was 18, it was the first time going away and really feeling like you weren't being judged for your nationality or your religion or any of those things. And then, I left. I didn't go back home then until I was 36. And then that was again, I was like in London, I had this crazy life. And then when I moved back at 36, I was just like, okay, maybe Donegal is my home. But yeah.
And why don't you share with us how you actually changed the town of Donegal?
Yeah. Well, when I moved back there, it was really struggling. Like businesses were closing. It was the middle of the biggest recession since the 30s. And all I could see was opportunity. All I could see was the most amazing culture and people and mountains and beaches and purity. And, I could speak the language, and I hadn't spoken the language since I was at school. And I was just like, oh my God, I can do this. And everybody was either a painter or an artist, or everybody had something really rich and authentic to offer. But there were no tourists. And I was just like, why the hell is this place not packed out? I don't get it. And the more I spoke to people, they were like, nobody knows where we are, nobody would come here, we don't have the weather, all of this. So the more I started digging, and it was like digging for gold, I started meeting business owners like rock climbers who said that the most amazing rock climbing in the whole world was in Donegal, and that's why he had his company there. Like kayakers who were taking people out to caves that people had never even discovered, like islands where there was history that, was never documented. And it was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I started creating these like heart-led adventures for small groups of people to come and really immerse themselves in this really like secret place that you would never get to experience. You could not book online. And I started getting about at any one time, I could have had about 15 local businesses contributing, from a storytelling aspect to making scones and tea to driving a boat to providing a car. And we did that for about like 2 years. And people kept saying to me, like, you're mad, nobody will come here. And then people started knocking on my door going, how are you getting people to come here, you know? But I was just so lit up by it. I was just so lit up by the possibility. And as a result of me doing that, I obviously learned I had some, entrepreneurial skills. But more than anything, I started to show people what we had at our doorstep, and started to show them how to appreciate the culture, the simple things that we had, like the tea and the scones with somebody in front of a fire and listening to a story, a boat ride out to an island and crab fishing and just really basic things. But yeah, it really lit the place up. And like as it stands now, Donegal was voted the coolest place on the planet by the National Geographic 2 years ago, which was 2 years prior to me doing all this work with. I'm not saying that was me, but the light has started shining on it. So I would like to think that me and the guys had a lot to do with that. Yeah.
So you have such spark when you're talking about that. Can you tell me an experience that you had maybe as a business coach? When did you get a spark like that working with somebody? Can you share with us maybe a story of real impact and how your background and your vision has assisted somebody?
I think probably the first time that I spoke at a local business event, because I was like, well, I have a business and I can speak. Maybe I should be speaking at this event. And so I went into the office of this local development crew, and I was like, you should have me as a speaker. And they were like, well, who are you and what do you speak on? And I was like, oh, my name's Moira. And he goes, okay, yeah, we will. And next thing you know, my face was on a poster on the side of the road, and I was like, holy shit, I better come up with something good to talk about. And I didn't actually really expect him to do it. So I went and I got up at about 5. I couldn't think of what I would say either. And then I remember the day of the talk I was doing, I was up at like 5 in the morning in front of the mirror, like shaking, going, oh my God. So anyway, I got in, I started talking about how I'd been helping these businesses. And then this woman got up after I spoke, and she walked up to me and she goes, I've never heard somebody talk about sales in the way that you have. I have this business, and not only that, I want to hire you to help me, and I want you to invite you to speak at a bigger event that I'm having. And I was just like, oh my God, okay. And that was like my first experience of, maybe speaking is a good thing to do for my business. And that's how it took off. And like that same person, we're still very connected. And she invites me to speak at a lot of events now.
So before we ask our question, I want to ask one thing. And I know you haven't prepared for this, but you're talking about the Uber and you get what you ask for. If you could ask for one thing now, what would it be?
If I could ask for one thing. Everything I'm thinking like, why don't I already have that? But I'd like to be like more present in my life. I'm an extremely busy person, and I would like to just be quieter. That would be the one thing that I would like right now.
Wow. So in 3 words, what is your meaning of life?
Appreciate it all. Every moment.